In Season 14, Episode 15 of Moonshiners, Imposter Syndrome, Mark Ramsey and Digger Maines continued to suspect they were being watched by law enforcement. Still, they managed to secure concrete proof of an undercover agent. The duo stumbled upon a game camera near their still site, raising concerns about surveillance. Determined to avoid a raid, they cleared their stash house before it was too late. Elsewhere, Big Chuck fell victim to a prank that tests his loyalty to the Moonshiners Brotherhood. Sign up for our newsletter, get updates on the latest posts and more from monsters and critics straight to your inbox. By submitting your information, you agree to our T&CS and privacy policy. The episode was packed with intense moments, blending ancient moonshining tradition with the ever-present risk of law enforcement shutting down their Operation. And Digger wasted no time after discovering the game camera, immediately removing its memory card while installing their own to gather intel. Fearing a major bust, they enlisted bootlegger Killer Beers to arrange a truck and transport their liquor stash. The pair lament the years of hard work put into aging the liquor, but accept they have no choice. Instead of separating the batches, they blended their aged whiskey, reducing its value by 2/3, but ensuring a swift evacuation. After securing their operation, they receive footage from their camera and identify a black truck driven by a man who previously approached them looking to buy liquor. This confirms their worst fear: they are under police surveillance. With no other choice, they shut down their operations for the time being. Tim faced a different kind of challenge when Howard finished the last bottle of his father's decades-old rye elixir, forcing him to recreate the recipe from memory. Adjusting ingredients like horehound candy and citrus, they managed to replicate the unique taste, evoking memories of the past. Meanwhile, Big Chuck continued his foray into moonshining and encounters Stevie Lee, who poses as an ATF agent and pressures him to reveal his liquor source. Standing firm, he refused to give up any information despite facing potential jail time. The arrest is later revealed to be a prank orchestrated by Tickle and the Laws, designed to test Chuck's loyalty to them. Having passed, he earns the trust of the Moonshiners and is welcomed into the Brotherhood. Moonshiners airs Tuesday nights at 8/7 on Discovery. Moonshiners Season 14, Episode 15 Recap. Mark and Digger identify law enforcement threaten the thrilling 15th episode of Moonshiners Season 14. The stakes are higher than ever as the beloved Moonshiners navigate the treacherous waters of illegal distilling, all while keeping an eye out for any potential threats from law enforcement. The episode, titled Mark and Digger Identify Law Enforcement Threat, is packed with action, intrigue, and, of course, the occasional moonshine mishap. This episode digs deep into the challenges faced by Mark and Digger as they continue their distilling operations, hoping to avoid detection by the authorities while still making top-quality moonshine. Opening scene. The calm before the storm. The episode opens on a serene, wooded mountain range where Mark and Digger are making their way through the dense forest, a favorite hangout spot for the two experienced moonshiners. The two men have been working together for years, and they are no strangers to the cat-and-mouse game of evading law enforcement. But as they set up their still for a new batch of moonshine, the tension is palpable. It's clear that Mark and Digger have sensed something ominous on the horizon, a potential law enforcement threat that could spell the end of their illegal operation. As they set up their equipment, Mark and Digger engage in a conversation that reveals their concerns. The local authorities have been cracking down hard on moonshining operations recently, and the two are no longer sure if they can continue to operate safely without drawing attention. Mark, ever the optimist, believes that they can manage as long as they keep a low profile. However, Digger is more cautious, reminding Mark that the stakes have never been higher. "Things are changing," Digger says, looking over his shoulder nervously. "The boys in blue are getting smarter. We need to stay ahead of them if we want to keep our operation running." The threat looms. Suspicious activity as the Moonshiners get to work. The scene shifts to a nearby road where law enforcement officers are seen conducting a routine patrol. This is no ordinary patrol, though. The officers seem to be actively searching for something, perhaps a moonshining operation in the area. Mark and Digger are immediately suspicious, realizing that the police presence could be a sign that they are being watched. In a brief moment of panic, Mark suggests that they pack up and move their operation to a different location, but Digger insists they stay put for the time being. "We can't time we think the cops are close," Digger says. "We'll never get anything done." Mark reluctantly agrees, and the two continue their work, trying to stay calm and focused. But the tension continues to build as they work, aware that at any moment, they could be caught. The pair has been in tight situations before, but something about this particular moment feels different. Mark and Digger are on high alert, constantly scanning the area for any signs of law enforcement's shocking discovery. The cop car just as Mark and Digger finish setting up the still and begin the distillation process, the camera cuts to a shot of a police car driving down a dirt road that runs parallel to their location. The car slows down, and the officers appear to be carefully scanning the woods, as if they know exactly what they're looking for. "This is it," Digger mutters under his breath. "We've been made." Mark, ever the level-headed one, suggests that they keep their heads down and hope for the best. But Digger is far from convinced. The two quickly scramble to secure their equipment and move their stash of moonshine to a more hidden location. The authorities are getting closer, and the tension is at its peak. In an intense sequence of events, the Moonshiners scramble to hide everything in the woods. Data uses his knowledge of the land to find a nearby creek bed where they can stash the moonshine temporarily. Mark, meanwhile, keeps an eye on the approaching police car, ready to signal Digger at the first sign of danger. The police car eventually drives past, but not without giving the area a long, scrutinizing look. Mark and Digger breathe a sigh of relief, but they know the threat isn't over. It's clear that the authorities are aware of their presence, and it's only a matter of time before they're back, looking for more clues. Mark and Digger's plan. Outwitting the cops after the police car has driven off, Mark and Digger sit down to discuss their next move. It's clear that they can't afford to take any more risks. The threat of law enforcement is now too great, and the operation is on the brink of being shut down. Mark suggests they change tactics and start using more covert methods to distill their moonshine, such as relocating the still to a more remote area and setting up decoys to throw the police off their trail. "We need to keep moving. Can't stay in one spot for too long," Mark says. "We'll set up decoys, move around a lot, and make sure we're not a target." Digger, while agreeing with the strategy, is more cautious. "We'll need to be careful," he warns. "If we get too comfortable, we'll get caught. We've got to stay smart and be unpredictable." The two Moonshiners put their heads together and come up with a detailed plan to stay one step ahead of law enforcement. They decide to use their knowledge of the backwoods and backroads to their advantage, setting up hidden routes and creating distractions to confuse any potential pursuers. The double cross. A mysterious informant as Mark and Digger finalize their plan. The episode takes a surprising turn. A mysterious figure is seen approaching their camp, a man whose identity is not immediately clear. Mark and Digger are wary of the stranger, and their instincts tell them that something is off. They've heard rumors of informants in the area, people who are willing to sell out their fellow Moonshiners for a price. The stranger introduces himself as a friend of their operation, But Mark and Digger are far from convinced. They are wary of anyone who approaches them without being invited, especially someone who seems to know too much about their current situation. The two men decide to test the stranger, trying to figure out whether he's trustworthy or whether he's working with law enforcement. "I don't trust him," Digger says quietly to Mark. "We've got to be careful. He might be working for the cops." Mark agrees, but they decide to keep the man around for the time being. They don't have much of a choice, as the stranger claims to have valuable information about the police presence in the area. He suggests that they move their operation to a different location, one that he believes is free of law enforcement attention. Mark, however, is still skeptical. He keeps a close eye on the stranger, watching for any signs that he might be a double agent working with the police. It's clear that Mark and Digger's trust has been shaken, and they are no longer willing to take things at face value. The episode's cliffhanger. A new threat emerges as the episode nears its end. Mark and Digger are left in a precarious position. The law enforcement threat continues to loom large, and the mysterious informant has only added to the tension. The final moments of the episode leave viewers on the edge of their seats as Mark and Digger prepare to move their operation to a new, more secure location. But just as they are about to leave, the camera zooms in on a shadowy figure watching them from a distance, a figure whose